Today we're talking about three plants that are very common, they're native to our area, and they grow very commonly here at Blagodatnoye, and we think they are really underappreciated. People really don't know them very much, and we'll talk about them and how we plan to integrate them into our life and use them here at the orchard.
Okay, so we thought we might give you guys a bit of an outline or an idea of the environment that we find here. Blagodatnoye falls into the interior cedar hemlock, or ICH, biogeoclimatic zone, and in this area in particular falls into the subzone XH, which is the driest zone in the ICH. So, and that's dominated by our beautiful pines. So we have lodgepole pine, ponderosa pine, white pine, and we also find our beautiful deciduous conifer, one and only western larch here, and also some other plants like mock orange, snowberry, and beaked hazelnut. So those are indicative of the ICH XH biogeoclimatic zone. We also have a wetter, like we have some microsites that are a bit wetter. They are a little wetter subvariant of ICH. And we'll talk about those in a later video because they have a totally different plant community that's just separate from where we are, most of the rest of Blagodatnoye here.
There's a huge variety of plants in this zone. So we had a really hard time choosing what to actually cover in this video. At first we wanted to cover a big list, but we thought that video is going to be too long and we can't really get into any of them.
Yeah, we kind of just let our stomachs decide what we should focus on in this video.
Yeah, so the three plants are plants that we are right now eating the berries. But we are learning a lot from them on how, from the landscape here, and they will definitely have a lot of influence on how we design our orchard.
Delicious plant we're going to talk about is Oregon grape, Mahonia aquifolium, and yeah, but don't let the name fool you. It's not related to grapes or holly. It's more closely related to barberries and buttercups. So yeah, that's our friend. It's easily distinguished by the beautiful blue berries once they're in season, and all year round you can distinguish it by the prickly leaves. Yeah, it stays green all year round, which is also very nice. And it's a shrub that usually grows between 1 to 3 meters tall, and it's hard to pull out. So it's throughout all of this area. So when I move the sheep around, it often gets in the way of the electric fence. So I try, just pull it out, get it out of the way. But it's actually has quite a bit underground, so you actually have to end up cutting it to get it out, because if you pull it, you just keep pulling and pulling and pulling, and it kind of goes on this big long trip. Another great use of Oregon grape is as an ornamental, or I know we know municipalities tend to plant them in boulevards and stuff. They're extremely drought tolerant, and because they don't drop their leaves, there's no mess to clean up, so that's awesome. And they're green all year round, so people love that. They're also very tolerant of poor soils, so they'll grow pretty much anywhere in those conditions. So that's why we lived in Victoria, Kamloops, anywhere we've lived pretty much has had ornamental Oregon grape. But yeah, anyway, it's most commonly used. The berries are used for jams and jellies and juices. And actually, just a few days ago, my mom took a batch of the berries and made a really delicious jelly. I found what was impressive about it was the color. The color was just gorgeous. But they're best eaten after the first frost. It kind of brings out the sweetness. Otherwise, they're usually fairly tart.
Should we do a taste test?
Yes, taste test.
Let's taste test it.
Just a little tart. And they have a little seed in them too. But you don't usually notice them.
But you can swallow the seed. But it's almost like biting into a lime or lemon.
Yeah.
It's like really.
Some of them too are bigger, plumper, and sweeter. Again, varies with the site and the conditions it's in. So we have had some that you don't really pucker pucker as much.
But it's got a nice, interesting flavor. I like
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to when you're hungry.
We eat them.
Mhm.
Yeah. So and the pigs like them, and the other animals like them, and they're very, very good for wildlife as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're gonna have fun playing. We want to make some more jams and maybe dry some. There's actually an Iranian dish.
Zaresh polo.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
uses dried barberries, which have a nice tart flavor. So we want to try dry some of these and use them in that dish.
As a substitute.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see
I
how
think
that
it'll
turns
be
out.
really good.
It
So
should.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
It tastes very similar.
our good friend Oregon grape.
The next tree we are talking about is a hawthorn, Crategus douglasii. So the genus Crategus has a lot of different species, but the tree that's very common here is specifically Crategus douglasii, and this is the beautiful tree right behind us, and it produces these beautiful black berries that are edible. we can try eating some of them. We've been snacking on them this whole time, and the nice thing about them is that they come into fruit slowly, and there's always ripe berries on the tree to pick. They taste different. Like, how do you describe the taste?
Kind of like a Saskatoon, a little, yeah, I don't know, kind of like a Saskatoon, kind of appley, something like that. They have a texture similar to a Saskatoon, I would say. They remind me very much of Saskatoon. The same seeds inside, a bit pastier, I guess.
Yeah, and they're seedy,
Yeah.
but we eat the seeds. They're fine. I haven't.
No.
I've had a huge amount of them, and it seems like the seeds are fine. They don't have that punch
Kind of
of
like
flavor.
a rose hip.
Yeah, kind of like. But they grow like they grow on you, and you crave them more and more. Once you introduce them to your body, then once in a while you're just like, oh my god, I just need to go get some hawthorn right now. So we just get up and then go for find one of the trees and just snack a little bit.
We've done that. We've done
Yeah.
that. We need hawthorn now.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I think hawthorn is extremely underappreciated. I see so many people have these beautiful trees full of berries and they never touch it.
Yeah.
For years and years they have it in their house. They never eat one berry, and it's just so sad. And I think that's the way the industry is here. Is that some of these plants are so focused for landscaping for their ornamental properties that people forget that they can actually be food and medicine, and they're growing it right in the yard and they're totally ignoring it.
Yeah.
It's so sad to see.
Growing in the yard without having to water or spray or anything. Like no
Yeah.
effort, and they grow beautifully.
They're all of the hawthorn, the whole Carategus genus, they're all very hardy plants generally. Now, Carategus douglasii, this specific hawthorn, is a little bit more, it requires a bit more water. So you find it usually in along the streams, maybe around the lakes. So it's a very important one for maintaining riparian buffers. But it does grow, like this one is growing on a hillside, and I mean we are a few hundred feet from the river.
Yeah, drainage sites
So
too.
exactly. So maybe wherever the water flows, and they are really interesting. And I specifically really love the hawthorn because I grew up hawthorn in Iran, in my little village called Nava, and around the village this tree was very common, and I spent a lot of time out in the mountains, and it was one of the trees that was always a reliable snack. You spot it from kilometers away, and you go for a little snack, and it was very abundant. So in my village, the most abundant hawthorn that we would find, in Persian we call that velik, and it's got exactly similar berries to this Carategus douglasii, but it's not the same species, but it's got the same black fruit. When it's ripened, it's black. It's got big seeds, but it's pretty tasty. But there's other species that are more palatable. They're more tasty. They got more flesh and smaller seeds. One of the ones that are again very common in Iran. It was very common, and it was actually sold at many fruit stands. You could buy it sometimes when in fall. That one's called zalzalak. I don't think most people know about it, but it's got larger berries, much more flesh, really tasty, and all in all, really awesome fruit to have around the orchard. Now, another reason why I'm really excited about finding hawthorn here, I can go on about hawthorn for a long time, but just this one last thing is that growing up with my dad. I helped him a lot with grafting around the orchard, and his favorite rootstock by far was Hawthorn. Whenever we see any Hawthorn, he would just like spot that. Okay, there's a little one coming up. We're gonna wait for that one to get to the right size, and we're gonna graft something on it. Some of the things that we commonly would graft on Hawthorn rootstock were pear and medlar, Mespilus germanica. And again, another fruit that we have to talk about some other time is another whole different story. It's a non-native one, but it's definitely one that we're gonna plant in our orchard, and I think it's a very underappreciated fruit here. And but yeah, Hawthorn makes really great rootstock for that. The commercial places don't like to use Hawthorn as a rootstock. I think it's because of its habit of really aggressively putting suckers around the base of the tree. So you have to put the graft union really close to the ground, and then you have to maintain it. So it's a little bit more work. Also maybe because it's susceptible to fire blight. I'm not sure. If you know why commercial places don't use it as much, let me know in the comments. What else can I say about Hawthorn?
That it helps a broken heart. Is that what you? rumor.
I don't know. There's many medicinal properties, and if you search on the internet, there is a lot of different medicinal properties that are attributed to all the different parts of Hawthorn. One of them is you can find some people talk about overall it's a really good heart medicine, but specifically for a broken heart. But the bark, the leaves, the flower, the berries, they all have medicinal properties that you can find. Many people talk about them, and there's all over the place. And there is also many uses. First Nation have used them for many different purposes. But another really interesting point about Hawthorn is we were reading your book, and there was a note, the thorns as well, but also the wood, right? So the Kerategus actually comes from the Greek word kratos, which actually means a strength, and it was attributed with a strong wood. It's got a very dense grain and really strong wood. It's really good for making tool handles or different weapons and tools, or fishing hooks, and many things were made from Hawthorn. So it's a really overall useful and interesting tree to have around, but also integrating it inside the orchard. So Hawthorn actually means a thorny hedge, which I think is just a very poor name. It doesn't do it justice. It's so much more than just a thorny hedge, right? It's got so many cool attributes to it. So we are so excited to have lots of it. It's
As
very
you can
abundant.
tell, yes.
Yes. And we will update you about our grafting. So we're going to start here soon to do some bug grafting on it.
Okay, so here we are at our last plant. This is our good friend Prunus virginiana, which is chokecherry. It's the most common cherry that we have in the area. We do have another cherry species that occurs in the area, but not as frequently, and that's the pin cherry, or Prunus pennsylvanica. But our chokecherry here, it really varies by site. So some of the sites, like we just came from a site where the cherries were quite a lot larger and were not astringent, so didn't make your mouth do that weird thing, hence the chokecherry. And some of them are larger, smaller, depending on where they grow, and the flavor will change. Typically by the end of the season when they're ripe, you'll know, because they get black. Quite a bit blacker than this. So and the most common uses for the fruit, well, people make jams and jellies and juices, and also people will dry them and have them as a snack. But I mean, the pit's fairly large compared to the flesh, so it tends to be a bit more work to chew on them. So they're a good thing if you're trying not to, eat other things. They take a long time to nibble on. But otherwise, we're really excited to try some jams and jellies with them. I think it's going to be really delicious.
Yeah. So we found some really nice ones to try. Do a little taste test. Let's see. Get a few here.
Not very astringent at all, these ones. So, and this is a bit higher elevation. So, makes the difference. It's something, likes the site for sure. It's growing in here with some mock orange and everything, so definitely a good site. Yeah, lots of flesh on these ones too.
It does have a little bigger seed. So you don't really want to swallow the seed?
Yeah, so the seeds contain cyanide.
Mm.
So it's actually known, there were some cases of children eating too many and swallowing the seeds and dying of cyanide poisoning. So best to spit the seeds out if you're gonna gorge on them, like we tend to do.
Or to teach your kids that they're
Spit 'em
supposed
out.
to spit out. Yeah.
Whether you spit them at each other or whatever, make a game out of it. Don't swallow them. Yeah, they're really common in this area. Again, that's very indicative of our dry subvariant of the ICH is the chokecherries everywhere. So, yeah, very exciting and very important for wildlife. And even our animals, the sheep, the birds, the turkeys figured it out. They'll stand under a bush and jump and pick at the berries. So pretty clever. And the chickens too, and the guinea fowl. Everybody figures it out. So yeah, they're very, very good tree to have around. Tree shrub. Thanks again for tuning into another one of our videos.
Don't forget to hit that bell button so you don't miss our next one.
And yeah, let us know if there's anything that you want to hear more about or anything you're interested in. Yeah, let us know and we'd be happy to look into it.
Okay, see you next time. Bye.
Bye.